Hello. For those of you who don't know me, and I dare say there are a great many of you, my name is Charles E. Gerber, and this posting may take 7-8 minutes, so if you don't have the time, guide yourself accordingly. And I also want to be upfront that although this deals with wonderful writing and it's a paean to a great actor, this is a political message. So also guide yourself accordingly. Today is September 7th, 2020. It is Labor Day. Happy Labor Day. And I'm proud to say that I've been a member of Actors Equity since 1973 and SAG-AFTRA since 1976. And 2 years before I joined the union, I got my first gig in Chicago television, and that was in 1971. So this is my 49th year as a professional actor, and 49 is an operative numeral in this posting. I've also been privileged, along with my acting and directing career, to be a teacher, an instructor. I was an adjunct professor at NYU for a number of years, teaching history of film acting. And I've been teaching acting privately and with a theater company that my late wife and I helped found, the Workshop Theater in Midtown Manhattan, since 1994. And I've been teaching Shakespeare with something called Will's Play Shop, and we put on an annual festival, the Willathon, that some of you may have heard about. Okay. But I'm here to talk about a great speech from, I think, a great movie that was performed by a great actor. And the speech was written by Emeric Pressburger. It was directed by Michael Powell. The film is 49th Parallel. I said 49 was an operative numeral. And the actor that I want to entreat you to know more about was Anton Walbrook, who was an Austrian emigre. He was born, I think, in 1896, and he was something of a British film superstar. He's most famous, I would say, playing the impresario in the Powell Pressburger film The Red Shoes, when he played the impresario, shoes. But he made 3 films for them. Before that, The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, and his first film for them, which is the film I want to talk about, 49th Parallel, 1941. And it's, I think, the greatest English language propaganda film ever made. And it's one of my all-time favorite films. It was indeed intended to get America into the war in 1941, before Pearl Harbor, and by the time it was released in 1942, America was already in the war. But still, the talents of Michael Powell and Emeric Pressburger, along with the editing of the up-and-coming David Lean and Freddie Young's cinematography, and the music of no one less than Ralph Vaughan Williams, and here was the star power that all got on board. Leslie Howard, shortly before he was shot down by the Nazis in an aircraft. The young Laurence Olivier, playing a French-Canadian trapper. Eric Portman, playing the Nazi lieutenant. He was a marvelous actor, Eric Portman. Anton Walbrook, whom I'm going to talk more about, who plays the leader of a pacifist Hutterite German-speaking village, and Raymond Massey, who, and this was after Abe Lincoln in Illinois, and when Raymond Massey's brother was actually Governor General of Canada. And the whole film was a paean to Canada, a love song to Canada, but again, to Emeric Pressburger himself, the writer, said, I want to show Goebbels something about propaganda. And he did so brilliantly in this film. All of the stars gave much of their money for the film to war relief Anton Volbruck himself gave half of his £2,000 salary, a lot of money then, in 1941, to the International Red Cross. So Anton Volbruck was born 1896 in Austria to a Jewish mother, which makes him technically a Jew, and he was also gay. So one doesn't have to exercise much imagination as to why he wanted to get out of Dodge by 1936 with the Nuremberg laws. And especially since he was fluent, besides in his native tongue German, but also French, fluent in French, and impeccably fluent in English. He spoke with the slightest of German accents, with an Anglo-German accent. First he went to Hollywood and he made a version of Michael Strogoff, the Jules Verne Russian story. But then he went to Britain and became pretty much a superstar. He made the original Gaslight before the Cukor film with Boyer and Bergman, and played Paul, the crazy villain. And then he made this film, 49th Parallel. So he plays Peter, the leader of this Hutterite village of mostly German emigres, about 200 people in northeast of Canada. And the Hutterites, from what I understand, made the Amish seem like a weekend in Vegas in terms of their pacifist credo. Okay, so the premise of this film is that originally 6 Nazi soldiers get stranded off a U-boat off the coast of Canada, and then they do damage in the Arctic area, and then one of them dies, and so 5 of them come upon this Hutterite village, and they think, because they all speak German, or German extraction at least, that they're fifth columnists. They're really secretly working for Hitler, and they just think it's great luck that they came upon this village. And they're welcomed, and Peter, the Anton Volbruck character, welcomes them, just says, are you Germans? And are you ashamed of being Germans? He says, you're welcome to be here. That's all he asks them. And so they're convinced that these guys are really, the whole village are hidden Nazis. So the night they stay there, Eric Portman's character, the lieutenant, makes this impassioned speech during a thunderstorm, calling them Brüder, brothers, and extolling the values of National Socialism and fascism, and ends with, I know that you're all seeking to cry out the name that is on your lips, Heil Hitler. And he's responded with the 200 villagers with crickets. They're just dumbfounded. And Peter, Anton Volbruck's character, realizes that he must respond. You cannot just let it be silence. And so this is a speech that Emmerich Pressburger, an Austro-Hungarian emigre, gave to Anton Volbruck, this Austrian emigre. And folks, no one hated Hitler more than refugees from Middle Europe. Marlene Dietrich, Billy Wilder, Peter Lorre, Conrad Veidt, Major Strasser in Casablanca. These are the ones who really knew just how dangerous, already by 1940-41, Hitler was, as it became increasingly known to the world. And so Peter responds with this speech. And I think it's one of the greatest speeches ever written for any film. And I've memorized it, and I'm endeavoring to evoke the values of the brilliant Emmerich Pressburger and Anton Volbruck. And so this was his response to the German lieutenant's Heil Hitler. I don't ask where you come from or what brought you here, although you've left us in no doubt as to your beliefs. Someone has given you, no doubt deliberately, a completely false impression of us. We are only one amongst many foreign settlements in Canada. There are thousands of them in this part of the world, and they have been founded some recently, some 80 years ago, by people who left their homes in Europe because of famine, because of starvation, because of racial and political persecution, and some, like ourselves, because of their faith. Some came only to find new land, new boundaries, a new world, but all have found here in Canada security, peace, and tolerance and understanding, which in Europe it is your furious pride to have stamped out. You call us Germans. You call us brothers. Yes, most of us are Germans. Our names are German, our tongue is German, our old handwritten books are written in German script. But we are not your brothers. Our German is dead. However hard this may be for some of us older people, it's a blessing for our children. Our children grow up against new backgrounds, new horizons, and they are free to grow up as children, free to grow up to run and to laugh without being forced into uniforms, without being forced to march up and down the street singing battle songs. You talk about the new order in Europe. The new order, where there will not be one corner, not a hole big enough for a mouse where a decent man can breathe freely. You think we hate you, but we don't. It is against our faith to hate. We only hate the power of evil that is spreading over the world. You and your Hitlerism are like the microbes of some filthy disease, filled with the longing to multiply yourselves until you destroy everything healthy in the world. No, we are not your brothers. And that's the speech. And at this juncture, I point out to you that it is irrefutable that in the 57 days for election, one only candidate considered the Nazi sympathizers as very fine people. So I entreat you, whatsoever you do, howsoever you can, vote.